Hey BookTube, it's Kayla and I'm here to bring you another video. Today I'm going to be going over my October wrap-up, and I have a lot of books to talk about for once in my life. I definitely broke a record. I read 15 books this month. So yeah, let's just get started and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So first I will be doing the stats here. So page count should be somewhere up here. But I read a total of 5,649 pages. Again, 15 books. Out of those books, I read 5 physical copies, 4 ebooks, and 6 audiobooks. Main genres, I read 7 young adult books, 2 middle grade books, 1 adult book, 1 women's fiction book, and then 1 humor book. And then kind of under that, the subtype genre that they were was I read 4 chick lit books, I read 7 fantasy books, 1 contemporary, 1 dystopian, and 1 mystery. Alright, so the first 3 books that I'm going to talk about is all in a series. They are the 3 chick lit books, 3 of the chick lit books that I read this month. And it is a girl series. Put it up here. It was my read them in ebook. So I read About a Girl, What a Girl Wants, and A Girl's Best Friend. And I gave the first 2 a 3 out of 5 stars, and then the last one a 4 out of 5 stars. So this story is about a girl who's living with this awful roommate. She's a workaholic, and she gets laid off within the first chapter, so no spoilers there. And she kind of goes through what I would like to call a midlife crisis maybe, or just a breakdown. Decided to go on a crazy adventure and take on this photography job in Hawaii. And we kind of follow her with that, but the catch is that she's posing as her roommate because it was her roommate's job. Yeah, it was a really good read. I personally enjoyed it. It wasn't, chick lit's never really the best literature out there, but it makes you gives you that feel good feeling. So it was something that I was definitely in the mood for, and I kind of just read them all in a row. So those are the first 3 books that I read this month. Next 2 books I'm going to talk about, I listened to an audiobook during my commute. I listened to The Winner's Curse and The Winner's Crime, the first and second book in the Winner's Curse trilogy. And it took me a while to get into the first one, but I really started to enjoy it. Follows this Valorian girl, Castell, I want to say her name was. I think that's her name. And she is a general's daughter, and in the first book she bids on one of the slaves that is Hungarian, and it kind of follows her story after in the aftermath of buying the slave. And I gave The Winner's Curse, I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and then A Winner's Crime I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I did like the second book a little better, just because I was more into the story, and again, that first book, it took me about probably a third of the book to get really hooked to it. So after that, I listened to Allegiant on audiobook as well. I've had this book on my shelf for years, and the reason is because it got spoiled. Obviously, if I didn't get quick enough to read it, and I feel like everyone's been spoiled on what's happened in that book, I won't say anything in case if you haven't. The fact that it was spoiled for me just made me not want to read that book, and it sat on my shelf since 2012 or 13 when it came out, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll listen to it on audiobook just to kind of feel like I've accomplished something. And I listened to it, and it was hard to keep my attention. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know, it just wasn't as good as the first book, and then the second book wasn't as good as the first book, and the third book was just kind of worse. I honestly don't know if I'm going to keep the series. I'm debating just because I still want to maybe go back and reread them, so we'll see about that. Alright, and then next I also listened to Howl's Moving Castle on audiobook as well. That one was actually one of the hardest audiobooks for me to listen to. I think I would have enjoyed the story a lot more if I would have just read the physical copy. I haven't really deciphered if it was the storyline or if it was the narrator in the series, or if it was just I wasn't in the mood to be listening to it. But it was hard to grasp my attention. So as of right now, it has a 3 out of 5 stars. I do plan in the future to go back and physically reread the book to see if that changes my experience and how I take in the story, and if I enjoy it maybe a little bit more than I would have the audiobook. Next, I read Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. Don't have the physical copy. It's on like my high bookshelf, so I didn't feel like getting it down today. So here's a picture. Yeah, actually I don't know what I can say about it without spoiling anything. So again, E. Lockhart, it's best to go in not knowing anything. All I can say is that this story, I really liked We Were Liars a lot. Like I devoured it within one night. Like I stayed up till 4 in the morning reading it. It made me think. This book just fell flat for me. It was more of a thriller, and the way she wrote it it just didn't click. Like we got to like what I'm assuming was supposed to be the climax, and I didn't feel that climax because I saw it coming from like a mile away. After that, I was like, okay, there's got to be something better that happens in the end. And the last it was like the last 60 pages after that, because it is a short book, and nothing happened. Like all that happened was what I expected to happen, and yeah, it just fell flat. I originally, after reading it, gave it a 4 out of 5 star, or no, I gave it like a 3.75 stars out of 5 stars, but after thinking about it and how much it kind of disappointed me, I knocked it down to 3 stars just because it was enjoyable to read. It just fell flat. So that was the next book that I read. Alright, up next I read How to Hang a Witch. Wanted to get into that October kind of feel. Read it on my Kindle, and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Follows this girl who moves to Salem. Her father's in the hospital, and she finds out potentially that there is this curse that's going on, and it just follows her adventure of trying to figure this out to maybe save her father and some other people within the storyline. I really enjoyed it. I know there's a second book out, which I want to pick it up, but I almost want to wait until it's October again to read the next book. So I probably won't be picking it up until next year, but I do plan on continuing with that series. It was really enjoyable to me. This one might be controversial. Next up, I read The Raven Boys. It's been sitting on my shelf forever. In fact, here it is. Here it is. Without the dust jacket, because it's supposed to go on the very, like, really high shelf, and I have the dust jacket up there, but I've been too lazy to get out my, like, little ladder and put it up there. So, took me forever to even get motivated to pick it up for some reason, which I don't know if that's what, I know people say it's slow in the beginning, but my goodness, like it was so hard for me to I dreaded picking this book up. Now, saying that, like by the end of the book, I've enjoyed it enough. I do want to see what happens, and tell me in the comments below if it gets like better with the storyline and the plot and the pace. This book I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. Again, it was enjoyable by the end of the book, but I don't know, like a good portion of the book, I don't even remember what the turning point was for me to actually be engaged in the story and just not be like, ugh, I have to pick this book up to try and get it finished. But I did get it finished. I will continue on with the series. It's just not going to be a series I make a priority until maybe someone influences me that it gets a lot better and is a lot more engaging. Next book I read was Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. This is her new release that I believe came out in October. I don't really remember, October or the end of September. On Goodreads it says I gave it a 5 stars. It is one of my favorite reads of the year. I actually would probably say I gave it probably 4.5 stars, because there was a couple aspects in the story that I didn't feel was portrayed as accurately and as well as it could have been, but I still really enjoyed the story and a lot of the characters. So that's why and I devoured it as well. I read it within I think a day or two. I really enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of problematic things in the story that happens, and there are some probably trigger warnings for suicide and so forth. There were a couple things that kind of frustrated me in how they were portrayed, but that being said, again, I really enjoyed it. I don't know, Colleen Hoover, like, I feel like this one was maybe not as much problematic as It Ends With Us. I don't know. It's problematic and it's hard, but I don't know. It happens in real life. So, but anyways, it follows a girl named Merritt with this like really weird, unique family. They live in a church. Follows Merritt. She has her like little own quirks as well. She like collects trophies when she's having a bad day or something in her life happens and she can't really handle it. So that's kind of like her coping mechanism, I should say, or makes her feel better. And in that, she meets a boy who ends up mistaking her for her sister, and it kind of follows that plot line. It was kind of unrealistic with some of the things that happened, but again, I enjoyed the characters enough that, and there's some artwork in there that I also really enjoyed, kind of like Confess, but more like sketches types of art. Really enjoyed that, so yeah, not much else for me to say about that without spoiling anything. If you do like Colleen Hoover, I suggest you pick it up. It's really good. Alright, next I listened to Someday Maybe by, what's her name, Lauren Graham? Girl from Gilmore Girls. I listened to this book on audiobook just because I really do enjoy her as an actress. So I figured I would like her audiobooks. I do plan on picking up her other book as well. This one was her fictional like chick lit story. Follows a girl who is trying to become an actress. She's living in New York. She's got like this deadline set for herself of, okay, if I don't succeed at being an actress by this time, then I might as well settle down, you know, so forth and so on. Give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was alright. I think that the story and the plot could have been built up a little bit better. I almost felt like I was listening to something that was similar to London Belongs to Me, but I just felt like London Belongs to Me was written a lot better, even though it's also very dramatic. I just felt like I enjoyed that story a lot more. I don't know why. It just had that similar feel to me, and this one I just felt like the plot line kind of just fell flat. There was a climax, but it wasn't like this huge climax or build up that it made me really love the story. So I gave that one a 3 out of 5 stars. Next I read this book, Firelight, by Sophie Jordan. The book I gave a lot of 3 out of 5 stars this month. Gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was alright. I did again enjoy the story enough that I want to pick up the next book. I do already own the next book. Don't own the third book in the trilogy. It follows this girl who is, I don't even know how they say, Draki. It's a like a human that can transform into a dragon. And there are hunters out there, and in the first couple chapters, she gets into some trouble, ends up having to move away from her, do they call them clans? It kind of follows her story and her struggle to let go of who she is. I enjoyed it. It was, again, probably not, I wasn't probably in the mood for this kind of story, but I really wanted to get to it because it's been on my shelf for years, and I finally picked it up. Gave it, again, a 3 out of 5 stars. There's some characters I love, some characters I hate. Got 2 more books here. Almost done, guys. Sorry. Next, I listened to Bossy Pants, which I did finish it just last night. I actually was planning on listening to it on the audiobook in the month of November, but I really didn't have anything else that I wanted to listen to, so I just picked this up. It was a short one, so I got it done before October ended. I don't know. It may be my humor, but like there was only like one chapter where I found like it funny, and that was where, maybe it's because I'm expecting and I relate to it more, but was when she was talking about like moms who are judgmental about breastfeeding or not breastfeeding and so forth. But her other jokes, some of them just really got under my skin, which I know she's from SNL and that's common. Amy Poehler, I don't know how to say her last name, is from SNL, and I like her humor a lot. Some of the stuff I think Tina Fey said or wrote in the book was not my cup of tea, so I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars. It didn't keep me engaged throughout the story. I don't know, I didn't love this one, and I know a lot of people love this this book, and think it's super humorous, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. Last book that I picked up was The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding. I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a great middle grade book. Gave me that feel of a series of unfortunate events, but also a feel of Howl's Moving Castle, which I did just listen to. The mixture of it, like, I really enjoyed it. Granted, I didn't listen to this on an audiobook like I did Howl's Moving Castle, so really enjoyed the story. I don't know if I was just kind of like blind or I just wasn't paying enough attention, but I actually didn't guess the plot twist in the end, which usually in middle grade I do guess it, but it's still enjoyable enough, you know. I loved Prosper. I loved Nell. He follows Prosper Redding, whose family has a curse on them. The person they made the contract with has been out for revenge, so it follows kind of that plot line, everything, and it was just really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I loved that I read it on the 30th and 31st of October, and it just made me feel so Halloween-like, and I loved it. So it was a great read. Alright guys, so that is the 15 books I read this month. I don't anticipate me reading that much for a long time. I've never even read that much before, so we will see. Thank you so much for watching and coming to my channel. Please subscribe if you like my videos, and comment below what you read in the month of October, or if you read any of these books and your thoughts on them. I love having discussions with you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye!